Hello everyone, this is Dr. Pooja Sharma, Assistant Professor, Department of Management at the Bhopal School of Social Sciences, bringing to you a very interesting session on the topic Models of Decision Making. This is in continuation to my previous module on types of decisions. Let us take a quick look at the learning objectives of today's module. We'll be doing the concept of rational decision making, characteristics of rational decision making, process of rational decision making, and alternatives to decision making, non-rational decision making, that is called bounded rationality. I would be at times using the acronym RDM for rational decision making. Rational decision making, the benchmark for making effective decisions, brings a structured or reasonable thought process to the act of deciding. The choice to decide rationally makes it possible to support the decision maker by making the knowledge involved with the choice open and specific. This can be very important when making high-value decisions that can benefit from the help of tools, processes, or the knowledge of experts. Choosing rationally is often characterized by the following. Decision making will follow a process or orderly path from problem to solution. There is a single best or optimal outcome. The rational choice will satisfy conditions of logical consistency and deductive completeness. Decision making is objective, unbiased, and based on facts. Information is gathered for analysis during the decision-making process. Future consequences are considered for each decision alternative. In an ideal case, all rational decision makers would come to the same conclusion when presented with the same set of sufficient information for the decision being made. This would suggest that collaborative decision-making will often employ a rational decision-making process. Let's take an example here. Google's culture is reflected in the decision-making as well. Decisions at Google are made in teams. Even the company management is in the hands of a triad. Larry Page and Sergey Brin hired Eric Schmidt to act as the CEO of the company, and they are reportedly leading the company by consensus. In other words, this is not a company where decisions are made by the senior person in charge and then implemented top-down. It is common for several small teams to attack each problem and for employees to try to influence each other using rational persuasion and data. Rational decision-making process, the RDM model, describes a series of steps that decision makers should consider if their goal is to maximize the quality of their outcomes. Decision making involves the following phases. Number 1, identifying the problem. The first step in the decision making process is to identify the actual cause of a problem. It involves defining and formulating the problem clearly and completely. In practice, defining the problem is not an easy task. What seems to be a problem may actually be the symptoms of it. So the manager should dig further to identify the real problem. Defining the problem involves identifying the critical factors so that such factors can be restricted by the manager and finding out whether there are any limiting factors to solve the problem. For this purpose, manager should refer to the objectives, rules, policies, etc. of business. Number 2 is analyzing the problem. After the problem is defined, the next step in the process of decision making is analyzing the problem. It involves the collection and classification of as many facts as possible. The assembled information should be classified on the basis of futurity of the decision and the impact of the decision. Collection of relevant and accurate data is essential because the quality of decision will depend on the quality of data used. Number 3 is developing alternative solution for the problem. majority course of action will have alternatives. A course of action does not become the best merely because it has been in use for a long time. Hence, the sound decision necessitates the consideration of all alternatives. This step involves the identification of limiting factors because it will enable the manager to search for those alternatives which will overcome the limiting factors. Number 4 is evaluation of the alternatives. After having developed the appropriate alternatives, the next step is evaluating them so as to choose the best one. While comparing the alternatives, various factors that are given below need to be considered. Quantitative factors, factors which can be measured, for example, fixed costs, operation costs. Qualitative factors or intangible factors, factors which cannot be measured, that is unmeasurable factors, for example, labor relations, change in technology. While evaluating the qualitative factors, the planner should see whether these factors can be quantitatively measured. If they are found not to be quantitatively measured, then he should assess the importance and influence and then come to a conclusion. Next is deciding the best course of action. After the evaluation of various alternatives, the next step is deciding the best alternative. The manager should take into account the economy, risk factors, the limitation of resources, feasibility of its implementation, etc. at the time of deciding the best course of action. We move to number 6, conversion of decision into action. If the decision taken remains in the paper, there is no meaning in taking decisions. Once a decision is made, it should be converted into action that is implemented. Implementation involves the following steps: communicating the decision to all the employees concerned, assigning the responsibility of carrying out the decision to certain employees, developing the procedure for the purpose of executing the decision, developing feedback mechanisms to check on the progress of implementation. Next is control. Once the decision is implemented, the next step is controlling. The term controlling involves the following steps: comparing the actuals with the expected results, finding out the deviation, identifying the causes. Wherever necessary, the decision should be modified. Now a question can come to your mind: what if a wrong decision is made? Sometimes a manager, in spite of his best efforts, may not make correct decision due to such limiting factors as non-availability of complete data, limited capacity of the manager himself, and so on. As a safeguard against incorrect decision, the manager, while converting the decision into effective action, should institute a system of follow-up, so that he can modify or alter his decision at the earliest opportunity. These were the various steps or phases of RDM process. Time to take a recap. We commenced with the concept of RDM, characteristics of RDM, and then the rational decision-making process. Hope you're connected and enjoying. Let us look at a totally contrary approach to this. Alternatives to rational decision making, bounded rationality. People frequently employ alternative non-rational techniques in their decision making processes. The theory of bounded rationality holds that an individual's rationality is limited by the information they have, the cognitive limitations of their minds, and the finite amount of time they have to make a decision. This theory was proposed by Herbert A. Simon as a more holistic way of understanding decision making. Bounded rationality shares the view that decision making is a fully rational process. However, it adds the condition that people act on the basis of limited information. Because decision makers lack the ability and resources to arrive at the optimal solution, they instead apply their rationality to a set of choices that have already been narrowed down by the absence of complete information of resources. Let's think of this theory in an example. Say you are walking down the cereal aisle looking for a healthy cereal for your breakfast. It would be impossible to research every brand of cereal and compare nutritional information to find the healthiest one, right? Comparing the ingredients between just two cereals is tiring enough, much less trying to compare hundreds of them. You just don't have that time. Instead, you would probably associate healthy with an ingredient like whole wheat. Find a box that says 100% whole grain and toss it in your basket. You found something that met the criteria for healthy in your mind, selected it and moved along without knowing whether it actually was the best choice. Corporations understand the theory of bounded rationality and design their marketing accordingly. Referring back to our cereal example, companies know that many of us try to eat healthy and therefore slap 100% whole grain or the amount of fiber or protein per serving right on the front of the box to aid us in our decision-making process. So when you see the label, you are able to quickly make your decision. Another way corporations tailor their marketing to help us in our decision-making processes is to appeal to trending values. Values are often one of the selection criteria consumers use to make their purchase decision. For example, you might be more environmentally conscious and you are in search of eco-friendly, sustainable or environmentally responsible products when you're shopping. Again, you're probably not doing a ton of research in the store to find the most eco-friendly product. You're likely searching for something that is eco-friendly enough. Thus, labels such as earth-friendly or sustainable product will be more noticeable on the packaging to you. Consumers and everyone in general are on information overload. We are constantly subjected to advertisements on television, radio, billboards, cell phones and all other electronic devices. We are being told what to buy, what's on sale, the latest fashion trends, current stock prices and much more. So when it comes to make a simple purchase either in a departmental store or at the supermarket, we are probably not going to want to spend time doing a lot of research on the product. Instead, we'll find something that's simply good enough. To summarize, bounded rationality describes the way that humans make decisions that departs from perfect economic rationality. Because our rationality is limited by our thinking capacity, the information that's available to us, and time. Instead of making the best choices, we often make choices that are satisfactory. I'm sure you've understood the concept of rational decision making and bounded rationality. Time to close the session. I've suggested some readings for you. Before we part, I want to share with you a meaningful quote by Jeff Bezos, best known as the founder, CEO, and president of the multinational technology conglomerate Amazon. Work hard, have fun, make history. Hope to connect with you in my upcoming module on group decision making. Till then, keep working hard. Thank you.